Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Wow, okay, today is the start of the week, Monday, so happy Monday to all. What I want to talk about today, this is something that actually has been on my mind for a while, but I just didn't know what to do with it. And I don't know if I've really dedicated a whole video to talk about this, but I wanted to talk about spiritual awakening, you know, what it has been like for me, and based on certain interactions and readings I've done, you know, what the commonalities are that people go through when they go through a spiritual awakening. And what I know is this: it is not just like this one big event. From what I've seen, it happens, I want to say sequentially, like little by little, you get like awakenings, and I don't want to say that, you know, each one is small, because it does affect your whole foundation. It's like a shake-up, but it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It's not easy. It's not easy. So what I can say is what it has been like for me. It started out with my belief systems, okay? Everything that I have believed in, you know, my values, my points of view on certain things, certain matters, social issues, social justice, all of that. Having this spiritual awakening has caused me to revisit these values and beliefs and view them from a different point of view. And by that, what I mean is not like tunnel visioned or one-way, one-sided view, but like viewing it from the opposing point of view's perspective, and even the higher perspective. Going through this spiritual awakening has allowed me or caused me to meditate on certain things. I started questioning a lot of what I believed, and all of that actually came about because of certain disappointing situations, you know, in the past, has caused me to really take a look at myself. Heartbreaks, my cousin passing, that's when it started happening, because I just did not want to be in pain anymore, or the suffering within myself has caused me to really take a look at my surroundings. And it was as if I said, enough is enough. So that's what started it all. And so it started with my belief systems. Once that started shifting, the focus turned to me internally. I looked at my decisions and myself from this now higher point of view that I had. And I looked at my interactions with others from this higher point of view. And also, I was made aware of my ego, and knowing when it takes over me. I don't always bring the awareness to the ego like at the proper time, but I become aware of it after, and that has caused me also to be gentle on myself. I wasn't always forgiving of myself. That is like the biggest lesson that I have ever had to learn, is how to forgive yourself. And there's no, I can't tell you like, alright kitties, I can't tell you like there's like a series of steps that you can take to forgive yourself. All I can tell you is when you are faced with anger, certain people bring this out in you, I say allow yourself some time before you respond. Definitely do not react. If you do react, then you do. You know, that's what happens when two people and their egos meet. You know, that's what happens. And so regardless of how much awareness and spirituality that you have within you, every now and then it does happen. What's important is what you do after that. You know, once you recognize the self, you know, having that connection with your higher self, and you bring awareness to your situation and you're thinking about it, and you realize, okay, I mean, it takes, you know, multiple or two parties to bring a situation forward, regardless of how negative or positive it is. And so, yes, recognize your role in that situation and the other person's role, and when you feel like the time is right, and you've analyzed the situation, I don't know if analysis is the proper term, but just view it as an observer. Then you have that communication, you know, and with the other party, and you resolve it, or you can choose to walk away from it, and that's also a healthy option. You know, having spirituality and forgiveness does not mean that, you know, when you forgive yourself and you forgive the other, both parties get a second chance at whatever the relationship was. Sometimes walking away is a resolution, and it does not mean that it's a negative outcome. You know, it just means that you recognize the person and the situation for what it is, you forgave it, and now you've learned your lesson and you moved on. I gave myself such a hard time for that. I thought that I had to, you know, let these people back into my life because I forgave them. But that's not necessarily true. Parting ways doesn't mean that you're cutting that person out of your life completely. It just means that your connection is over, your contract is over, if you're thinking about it from a higher point of view, or that you're choosing yourself, and you're doing what's best for you and your emotional well-being. You know, the forgiveness process does not guarantee healing on both parties. It will put you on a path of healing, so you both can go through your healing. But it doesn't mean that, you know, because you forgave them, that wound has been healed. It just means that you're allowing yourself to start that process. And so it may take time for that relationship to come back together, if that's what was meant to be, you know. Everyone is on their own spiritual path, and everyone has their own awakening, you know what I mean? And some awakenings that happen within yourself come by way of these interactions, you know. It comes through forgiveness, it comes through heartache, it comes through love even, you know, having that higher love connection and allowing your heart to open. It comes from many, many sources, the spiritual awakening. It's not always like coming from a place of suffering. But for those that are resisting it, then yeah, it is very possible that your awakening will come from a place of heartache, you know. And I did resist it for a while, because it is truly hard for us to sort of walk away from these belief systems that we felt like worked for us, you know, up until this point, or up until the point of your awakening. And part of the awakening process will show you, lift the veil a little bit for you, you know, enough for you to see. And sometimes these messages come from your dreams even, of course, real life situations, and this will show you like how whatever it is that you believed in has brought you to your current state, that has made you unhappy enough to question things, you know. Nothing is really by coincidence, you know. Once you start opening up to your true self, you will realize, and this is part of the awakening process, that everyone that has come across or come into your life or is still in your life has a purpose and has a message for you or a lesson even for you to learn. And part of waking up is bringing this awareness to you. It enriches your life. It brings you closer to nature. We completely ignore nature. That is part of the culture, we view like trees and plant life and even animals as beings that are less than us, when in fact they have so much more to offer us, and it brings you to the basics of creation and life, and you all have this information within you. So part of the awakening that's happening within you, when you give in to the resistance and you surrender, all of this information will open up to you. It's life changing, but it's not an easy process, because for what seems like millennia, we as humans have been ruled by our ego, and to a certain degree, the ego is important. It's necessary for this plane, but not in the way that we all believed it to be. It is important for survival skills, understood, but once we start stepping out of our ego and allowing the soul to come forward, and we align with our truest and most highest self, you will find that your surrounding changes, your interactions change. If you've been dealing with aggression before, you will realize that you've been bringing that energy to yourself, And so when you start aligning with your truest self, which is, your unconditional love, you will find that you will need your ego less and less. You'll be more aware of it, and you create a peaceful environment around you. Your energy and your vibration changes, and that influences those around you. This is what a spiritual awakening has been like for me, is having these revelations and realizations, and not caring who thinks that this is weird. And of course, there are going to be others that just quite aren't there yet, are going to think that what I am talking about and how I'm living is completely weird and strange to them. But part of my awakening and staying true to myself is just not allowing that to affect me. It's allowing your true self to come forward unapologetically. And this is how we influence and help each other and come to these little realizations. You will start finding true emotional fulfillment in the service of others, helping others. And that you will start, for me at least, I used to be driven by, what I thought was success was getting promotions and making these, figures and having all of these material things in my possession, and that's what I thought was a sign of success and happiness, true happiness, going to school to have a career and having it all, the car, the whatever, the material possessions. And what I realized in that state, when I reached that point, was how lonely it was. That was also a part of what put me through a spiritual awakening. I have had series of these spiritual awakenings, and that was a major part, is detaching from the material possessions. I realized that in giving service to others, helping others spiritually, if I can, financially, emotionally, in any way that I can, it brings me the highest amount of joy. It brings out the best parts of me forward. By helping others, I'm helping myself, my true self, come forward more, and I'm living more of that authentic life, and not caring what others think of my choices and decisions, you know? This is all part of the journey and our walk through this plane. We did not come into this life just to relax and to coast through life, you know? We came here to shine our lights wherever it's needed. And part of that, not part of that, what gets you to that point to where you shine your light into darkness or into others' lives is going through this awakening, going through this realization, and seeing people for who they truly are, you know, looking past the form and connecting to the heart. And that's completely possible if you allow your heart to open to others. If you are able to step out of your ego, you know, if you stop judging yourself, you will stop judging others. And so we are all connected in that way. And so however you treat yourself and what you do to yourself is how others view you and how they treat you. And so yes, this spiritual awakening is a very, very personal journey for all of us, and it's going to happen for all of us in many different ways, you know, and not just one time, but in multiple times throughout your life. You're going to keep having these realizations and awakenings, and once you get the hang of it, you get that engine started, and you're walking that path. Each awakening that you go through is going to be less and less difficult. You're going to be accepting it. You're going to be resisting it less. Going into the unknown isn't going to be as scary anymore, because you'll start trusting yourself and your decisions, which then allows you to trust the universe, right? And so that is, for me, what a spiritual awakening has been like from my experience and my point of view. I hope this makes sense to some of you. Thank you so much, everyone. So much love to all of you. I will be back later on. I am going to have a discussion with some friends of mine, and I believe the topic is going to be our points of view on effective communication. So it's going to be around 8 o'clock Central, and we're going to do a live chat, so we hope some of you join and contribute, and I'll see you guys later, okay? So much love to all of you.